When Royal Air Force pilot Lieutenant Kate Sinclair goes shot down over Afghanistan, she finds refuge in an abandoned underground bunker where deadly man made biological weapons, half human, half alien, are awakened. I watched The Lair.
They say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
I'm your number one fan.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
God, it knows I'm here.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
You're listening to the Slasher Sports Show with Billy Graves.
What a film this was, guys. What a film this was. Welcome to Slasher Sports Cinema. I am your host, Billy Graves. And before we get started, I do want to ask three things. Like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications because you know that helps us bump up in the algorithm and we appreciate you for it. But the Lair. Neil Marshall was in his bag with the Lair. In the same vein as The Descent and Dog Soldiers, Neil's given us superhuman creatures that'll bite your face off or maybe just pull your face off. Maybe. Well, when I hear horror and Neil Marshall in the same sentence, I'm assuming it's a creature feature mixed with an action flick. And that's not even a fair assessment. He's done a lot in his career. Hellboy, for one. Maybe you could say it was a creature feature where the creature is the star and the star is more of a creature than the creature. No offense to Ron Perlman. You know what I'm saying? Every time I think about Ron Perlman, I think of a wild scenario where the casting office accidentally sends the offer letter to Rhea Perlman. And since they're pressed for time, they just roll with it when she shows up to the studio. So we get Rhea Perlman as the leader of a motorcycle gang or as Hellboy. Imagination. It's running wild. Well, written by Neil Marshall and Charlotte Kirk, who also starred in The Lair. It's not their first time working together. It's not her first writing credit. She also co-wrote The Reckoning. If you're doing your homework, yes, also directed by Neil Marshall. But Charlotte won a lot of awards for The Reckoning. She's not just a hot babe with legs up to her neck, but she is also a hot babe with legs up to her neck. You know what I'm saying? The taglines for this one, simply unlocked, unleashed. And ironically, I saw neither a lock nor a leash in this film, and that makes the creatures all the more dangerous. You dig what I'm saying? But again, it stars Charlotte Kirk, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but absolute hammer. Okay, certified, bona fide hammer. Also stars Jonathan Howard. He had some roles in World War Z, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. It also starred Jamie Bamber. And maybe it's because I'm from Tennessee and I'd recognize a real Southern accent anywhere. But whoever coached Jamie Bamber on that accent should lose his accent coaching license. And that's a real thing that people have. It's a real thing. Don't look it up. Don't Google it. Just listen to me. You're going to believe me or your lying eyes. Better believe me. But I didn't realize there was a second creature in this film, and it was Jamie Bamber's accent. It may have been the more gruesome of the creatures. Okay, I kid. Lots of times in film, they'll portray the Southern people as slow or less intelligent, but I'm Southern and I'm not slow. On the contrary, I'm very photosynthesis. Okay. But it's good to see a Southern gentleman, even if he's not really a Southern gentleman, in a prominent role, not being an idiot. Spoiler alert, he does die, but he's got some cool lines. He's got some cool scenes. So yeah, good on you, Jamie Bamber. Also stars, rounding out the cast, I guess, would be Hadi Kanjanpour. I hope that's right. I hope I said that correctly. Alhamdulillah. Hadi, you did a great job. But I said he rounds out the cast, and he might be my favorite character. He plays an enemy combatant who shows real honor and turns out to be a stand-up guy. I don't know if that's a commentary from Marshall that even in war, we're just people sent by our governments, right? We don't want any of this. But unlike many creature features where there's a build-up to the creature reveal, we see what we're up against pretty early in this film. Charlotte Kirk's character, Sinclair, she's a pilot for the Royal Air Force, British, not planet Druidia. But she shot down in enemy airspace, or maybe it's neutral airspace. And as she fights for survival against Kabir, who's played by Hadi Kanjanpour, she takes refuge in the structure where she finds lying dormant an unknown breed of bipedal humanoids that we know nothing about. All we know is they're marinating in glass pods like pickled eggs. And that to me is equally disgusting. Southern or not, I'm not eating that shit. But they meet up with the American military and their accents. Sinclair and Kabir are they're taken into custody, restrained, where everybody's going to slowly gain each other's trust, which they're going to need to combat these deviled humanoids in the hidden laboratory, or Lair, if you will. But, let's look at the final slash lines on this. We grade this thing on terror, creativity, suspense, and we added dialogue just for the hell of it. Okay, so let's start with terror. I'm going to give it an 8 for the terror factor. An 8. That's out of 10. There's some unique kills in Lair, and I couldn't help but give an audible, oh shit, at one point. It's pretty early on. It's not your usual shoot 'em up with a creature involved. The humanoids get their shots in, and there's some fun shots you don't want to be on the business end of. But 8 for terror. That's solid to me. Horrific. With creativity, I got to give it a 7 and that's your standard score, because I do feel like this sticks with the Neil Marshall formula of creatures versus group, just as he did in Dog Soldiers and The Descent. But 7's a standard score. I had fun watching this film. For suspense, I'm giving it a 6. But nobody's tuning into this film for a build-up. Nobody's tuning in to be wowed by what happens next. No, with that said, the creature is, out of the bag early, and there's not much to build up on after that. And I'm not trying to rewrite the film. That'd be an arrogant thing of me to try and do. But if I did, gun to my head, if I had to rewrite this film, maybe I'm going to show that encounter with Sinclair and the pickled humanoids, but I'm only going to tease the creature for a later reveal, right? Maybe she looks at the case and is just, awestruck, but we don't see the creature just yet. But hey, I'm just a schmuck doing a review, right? I'm just Billy Graves. He's Neil Marshall. She's Charlotte Kirk. But dialogue, giving that a 6 as well. You've got your standard action flick zingers and one-liners and mic drop quotes. We're not reinventing the wheel. But you've got, scenes of the Jamie Bamber character seemingly capable of walking on his own, and he's yelling, "Leave me behind. Save yourselves." And I just can't take that seriously. Especially when he's on the brink of death, laying on a cot, And then just in time, he chimes in on the discussion at the most opportune time. You'll know it when you see it. His character was a badass, though. I'll give him that. He had an eye patch, and when you have an eye patch, you are a badass by default. But overall, I'm going to give this film a 7 out of 10. I know why I tuned in. I got what I wanted out of it. And it was a fun shoot-'em-up creature feature with a gruesome mass of humanity on the prowl against some worthy adversaries. Not on the level of the Predator, but do I want you to go out and see it? You're goddamn right I do. It's a great watch, and anybody who says otherwise trying to get edgy cool points. Neil Marshall and Charlotte Kirk, you did a bang-up job, as well as your cast and crew. The Lair is available on demand. I got it on Vudu, but you're at your leisure now, so make sure you check out the Slasher Sports Cinema podcast on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Anchor, right here on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, all the above. I've got some good roundtable discussions on the channel and on the feed that, we're talking to some good folks. We just did They Live, a John Carpenter classic, and it turned out great. So let's go ahead and get out of here before the devil knows you're dead. May we all drink the blood of our enemies from the skulls of their children. See you next time.